Let's go fishing. I'm on a mission. It's so pretty, I'd sure hate to waste this chance. We'll find a shady little spot, not too cool, not too high. Perfect for a little fishing.
Yeah, I got up this morning. I was going to sleep, and I thought, well, I'll ride down to Tin House. I went out and put in an Indian prairie and thought I'll ride up to Tin House, just see what it looks like. And well, it was shallow, guys. It was about 16 inches deep, 15, 16 inches deep. But there was guys in there fishing. You just got to trim everything up and trim your electric motor up and stuff. I went down before daylight because I always go in the water before daylight. And I thought, well, I'll just idle out and I'll stay right in the middle of the canal there in Indian Prairie. Well, I got out there where I thought I was out far enough and I hit something. Luckily, it didn't hurt anything. But guys, be very careful on the lake. It's really low and it's muddy. And the bad part of it is it's stirred up pretty good. You can't see. Even when the sun's out, you can't see if it's shallow or not ahead of you because it's so muddy. But that's just the way it is. Everybody wanted it that way, and they've got it that way, and we'll see what it is. But I don't think anything's going to grow unless this water clears up. I mean, I don't care how low you get; it's not gonna grow if it don't clear up. Well, you can see I come back. I went up Tin House a little bit and fished, but the wind was picking up a little bit too, and it had some waves. And anytime you got a wave, you get down in a wave. It's 12 inches long, and then you only got about 8 inches of water. So I better get back to Indian Prairie and get back up there. And I just kind of looking around. Boy, there was alligators everywhere. That low water, they're up on the sandbanks. But I started up through there and. Places that I fished last year for crappie, it's about 2 foot out of the water. It's just, I've never seen it this low since I've been down here, so this is kind of interesting to me. I mean, I moved down here 5 years ago, and the water was always high, but yeah, it's just a different environment, you might say. But like I said before, everybody wanted it like that, so. I started back, like I said, I started back up the canal and I kind of looked over there how shallow it is. Used to be able to turn right there and go wide open up through there. Of course, it was 4 foot deeper right there over top that. But I found some places, rocks and stuff at rock piles. If you want to look for and see what's going to be like when the water's back up. I mean, I'm sure fish are holding on them rock piles out there. And you see the brush there. There's rocks all the way out front of that. You fish.
But guys, if you're coming down here and you're out of this area and you don't know it, you want to be really careful.
6 feet out there, there's a lot of rock, and what your fish will hold on them rocks too. But the canal was crystal clear. When the first thing I went out, like I said, I run out there to the mouth. And I thought, well, I'll go down, run down Tin House in daylight. I'll fish that grass a little bit. Well, I didn't happen because I ran into them rocks. So I turned around, went back up Indian Prairie, went all the way to the end up there.
20 years from now, it might come back.
And I thought, I'll go up there and throw a whopper plopper and come down through there. I did. I started throwing the whopper plopper, and I seen, when you go all the way up there on the left, when you're going up on the left-hand side, there's a rock shelf. It's underwater. I didn't know what held fish here, but now I know there's a rock shelf almost right before you get to them buoys up there, and it's like an indentation underneath of it. It's about 100 yards long, and them fish. I mean, that's an ideal place for them when the water's up and it's really hot. It's shady. It's kind of a ambush place for bass, crappie, bluegill. And I can see why it was holding fish on there now. But anyway, I went up there and I threw the whopper plopper and I come down through there. Right, you just start to get daylight, and I threw the whopper plopper. And I don't know. I can pretty well tell whether they're going to hit that plopper or not. And I just wasn't feeling it this morning. I mean, I went about a half hour throwing it, and I thought, nah. This ain't gonna work, this ain't gonna work. So By that time, it got daylight, and that's when I thought I'd run down Tent House. So I come back out, idled out through there, and I didn't hit nothing this time. Went way out, probably about a mile out into the lake, and run up the Tent House. And like I said, it's muddy. You can't see what's going on. And I had my electric motor down a good bit, but it was churning up mud. And I didn't stay very long. I thought, boy, I don't want to get high centered down here. How in the world would anybody get me out of here? But there were still people, like I said before, there was people down there fishing, and they had bass boats. But I come up, I turned around, come back up the canal, headed back in the canal here, run on to these two gentlemen right here, and I was watching them. They were fly fishing. They were there at daylight this morning. They were there really early, and I passed them when I went down through there. They were fly fishing. And so I thought, you know me, I'm gonna talk to somebody when they're catching. I was watching, they was pulling them in pretty quick. So I just pulled over, shut the motor off, turned the electric motor on, got up there in the electric motor, and just started watching them. And I'll tell you something. I found out something about fly fishermen. And this is a club. This is a club out of Cocoa Beach. Just a different quality of people. Really, they are. I mean, just you talk about a nice group of guys. They invited me for the weigh-in afterwards. The weigh-in was like 9:30. They put in and fished for like 4 or 5 hours, which that's the way it should be. And they fished yesterday. And it's kind of interesting. They can weigh in 20 fish. They can weigh in anything. And, they catch on that fly, except for gar and mudfish. You lay in bass, catfish, cichlids, crappie, of course, bluegill, shell crackers, anything like that you can weigh in. But you just can't weigh
down
in
here watching
mudfish
for just a little bit,
gar.
see how many they catch.
But I got to watching these guys. I'm telling you, I used to do it when I was trout fishing. I used to fly fish all the time. I got into it pretty heavy there for a while, and but it's an art. These two gentlemen that I watched, they're just an art. I mean, there was no, every motion was precise. I mean, they put that fly right where they wanted to, and they just set it up there, and they had, which you'll see here in a minute, they had which I used to do when I trout fished, they had a trailer on like a lead on a popper, which you had a sinker, then you had a floater on the front. And a lot of times, the bass would take the popper. If you guys that ever fly fish, you ladies that ever fly fish, that when you're popping that thing a little bit, the bass will take the flopper. And the sinker is usually the bluegill or the cichlids will take that. And yeah, they were hammering them there. But I was talking to them, and they were telling me they were if they found a little bit of rock out in, like I said, everything's 5 foot low, they would find cichlids. And on the sandbanks, it seemed they were picking up bass. They were picking up bass pretty good. But I watched them, cast with the fly rod, and then they was doing I watched a couple guys, they were roll casting, which that's an art, doing that. I'll tell you one thing, them old alligators like that sandbank. I mean, when I went down through there this morning, right at daylight, it was still dark. It was still dark when I did it. And I put my light on the bank, and there was eyeballs everywhere. There were just eyeballs everywhere. The gators are really out with this low water there, and kind of, they got all the bait fish and their feed is coming down to the water, and it's kind of a smorgasbord, you might say, for them alligators. And that's something else. Today's the opening day where you can put in for a permit for alligator hunting. If you guys want to do a little alligator hunting, put in for a permit for it. Or guys, you can call Bob Stafford. You can get a hold of him through Garrett's Tackle Shop, and Bob will take you, and he'll even supply the permit for you. Yeah, I watched them catch several bluegill and cichlids. Now, I didn't see them catch no bass, but they caught some bass. nice bass doing that. And nothing goes to waste. They take all them cichlids, and mostly cichlids. They didn't have a lot of bluegill or shell crackers. They were mostly cichlids. And they took them and they cleaned them. And I was asking that guy, and he said, "Well, we don't eat. We have people that'll eat them, which that's a good thing. Cichlids, I think it's an invasive species in the lake, like some of the other ones in there. I'm pretty sure the mudfish is, and it's just they're just a pain. The Oscars. I mean, but they really reproduce. Where did they come from? I'd say over the years people dumped them in there from aquariums and stuff, because that's where all the armored catfish came from. People put them in there and they just exploded and bred. Now they're everywhere, but yeah. Yeah, guys, if you want to do this, I'll take you on a trip fly fishing if you want to. I got a fly rod. If you want to go and try it, I got a fly rod, and I got all the things to do it with. Or if you want to do it with live bait, if you just want to do it with a cane pole or a spinning rod, with crickets and worms, I'll take you and do that too, which is a blast. I mean, you take ultralight, 4 or 6 pound test, and catch these fish. It's a blast. One thing about South Florida, no matter what, you can catch some kind of fish 24/7 down here. Any time of the year, you can target some kind of fish. There's some kind of fish biting down here in South Florida. So yeah, if you want to come down here and go fishing, stop in there at Garrett's Tackle and hire one of the guides in there. And if you want to do it yourself, stop in there at Garrett's and buy your tackle and get ready to go. They'll set you up. They got Leaf and Caleb in there, and Neil and Richard. They're all fishermen, so they can help you out. If you watch them though, when they throw that fly, I mean, they're not just randomly throwing it. They can, they're putting that in a spot. They're aiming for a spot, like if there's a little piece of wood or a rock, they're putting it right on top of it. And usually when they hit a target, that's holding something, they'll catch fish here. That just takes practice. Anybody can do it, but you just gotta practice. And what a lot of people don't understand, and I was talking to a guy there at the shop a little bit ago, he wanted to go out and do it, and he said, "Well, you're not throwing much weight." Well, you're not really throwing the weight, guys. You're throwing the line. And the line, one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of people make, they watch, there was an old saying here, I think the river runs through it, 10 and 2, 10 and 2. Well, that's not the case. You don't want to throw that rod clear behind you, but you can get on YouTube if you're interested in fly fishing. Get on YouTube and watch. I mean, they've got some really good programs on there on how to do fly fishing and how casting and the bait you use, and whether you want to go with a 5-weight, 6-weight, or even on up if you're fishing for tarpon or something like that. And it's just they'll explain it to you, and your size line and your size leaders, and the different types of flies and bugs that you use on the end of your line. I tell you, a big thing down here is saltwater fly fishing for tarpon, and reds and snook. I mean, it's a fight's on, guys. They go into the intercoastal and the shallows and go in there and then fly fish for them tarpon and snook. And you can hire a guide to do that too. You just gotta get online and find out if you want to do that. You can come down there and do that. But I'll tell you something right now. You get a couple tarpon on, that's any size to it, about 2 of them is all you want to fight in a day, because they will wear you out. I watched Buck yesterday, or day before yesterday, fighting that tarpon up there at the Kissimmee Dam there with that guy in my other video, They fought that thing for about 10 minutes, and it was out. And it was only about, I don't know, 5 foot long, but it was out of the water and boring down, and they're just solid muscle. But you scale your bait, scale your rod, scale your line down, and everything. It's like kind of like using an ultralight, and you hook some of these big Oscars and cichlids and bluegill down here, and I'll tell you what, they fight. Now, even on you trout fishermen, you want to come down here and try it. You ought to come down here and try it. And in the wintertime, you can't fish up there. You can still come down here and fly fish. See how he just had one motion there and put that thing right in there. He brings, if you watch him real slow. He brings that rod up. See there, when he set the hook, your rod straight up. Now he's just feeding the line back, stripping it in, and bringing that fish in. In the canal, there wasn't no wind blowing. Out in the river, the wind was blowing a little bit. Or I'm sorry, out in the lake, the wind was blowing a little bit. You watch, he'll bring that rod. When he brings it back to about 12 o'clock. It's like, he brings it about to his ear. And he waits till it loads up behind him a little bit. And then he moves that line back forward. It's just, if I could slow it down and zoom in, it just looks like a nice hoop. You don't want to get into the old crack the whip thing. I'll tell you that right now. That's why you just want everything smooth. And don't get. A lot of people make a mistake, and I do it too once in a while. And they try to get distance when they first start. Don't try to get distance. Just try to get your technique down. And that'll come later on, that'll come. He's just barely moving that popper. All right, watch where he goes with that rod. Right to his ear. He's not going back behind him. Right to his ear, then right straight out with his arm. You see that? It's an art, guys. It really is. I mean, it's a technique. Anybody can get it down, but it just takes practice. See how he got a strike and he went right straight up with it. He didn't pull on it. He just picked the pole right straight in the air. Yeah, these guys were super. I mean, when I went to the weigh-in and talking to them, it was like I knew them all my life. We got sat there and talked, and then even on the water there when they was fishing that tournament, I talked to some of them, and they were sharing information with me and helping me, and it's just a different breed of people. Very humble, very enjoyable to be around, and they're out there to enjoy it. I mean, it's a competition. Don't get me wrong, but it's still nothing like it. Like bass fishermen, crappie fishermen. I tell you, you want to run into some jerks, go into some bass tournaments. I can tell you right now, not the fun ones, but the ones that you get a little bit of money involved. Oh my gosh, they turn into stinkers. Territorial, I always call it. Territorial and uppers, and not all of them, but a lot of the guys that think they're Joe Bass and them bass tournaments, they're on ego trips. They really are. I mean, they're out there, got their little, uniform on, you know. They stop at the filling station, get their honey buns, and got their nose in the air. And these guys, just a different breed, fly fishermen, just a better quality of gentleman. I can tell you that right now. I'm 72. I got to see when bass 67. I was lucky enough to, I can remember the first Bassmaster magazine to come out. Ray Scott and Johnny Morris and Bass Pro magazines, and I just seen it evolve over the years. In my lifetime, I've seen tournament fishing evolve. I mean, there wasn't no tournament fishing back in the early '60s. I suppose there was down here in the saltwater back then, but back up home in the freshwater, there wasn't. Everybody and nobody. You had a 9.9 or a 10-horse motor. Boy, you using high cotton back in the '60s. I had a set of oars, but. Yeah, just and there was a little bit of respect on the water at that time when I was a young man. People kind of respected, and now it's just a different generation. I mean, whether you're on the water, taking out of the water to ramp, or putting in at the ramp, just a different generation. Very, I don't know how to put it. Very, I don't know. Ego, just stinkers. A lot of stinkers, guys. You want to get into a good fight? Come down here in January and February. Put a boat in any one of these ramps. But again, guys, these guys are cashing. That one gentleman in the front, he ended up winning. You can have like I said, you can weigh in 20 fish, and I think he had 27 pounds. I think he caught 27 pounds. He had one tilapia weighed 5 pounds. One big tilapia, and his cichlids and his Oscars and stuff. They were just a little bit better quality. They were pretty good size. As we go on in here a little bit, he'll show you what he's using. He's using that float and a sinker in the back, and that. What the float actually does, I think, this is my opinion, it's kind of like when I used to striper fish on the Ohio River below the locks and dams. You had an indicator on the front with a popper on the front, and then you had a trailer on the back, like a little twister tail on the back. And what that floater does, it just attracts that fish, and then they'll come and hit the sinker in the back. When you hit the water, though, you got to practice, because you have to have a soft presentation to hit that water, and just you can't beat the top of the water. That's why you want to practice your casting. I guess these guys not every week, but maybe once a month, they'll go different places for a couple days. They told me, let's see, it's down the Everglades, I think. Last month, I went down there and fished for Oscars and peacock bass, and largemouth, of course. And then they went, I think it was down at Harney Pond, down at Lakeport and fished that down there. They don't have to, when they put in the canals, they don't have to run very far, because the fish are right there in the canals. The fish that they're targeting. The panfish are in the canals. It's enjoying to watch them cast, though. To me, it is. I just, it's just second nature. They've done it so much, and they do it. They do it so much. It's just, notice they're not making bad. Every time they cast, it goes where they want. Watch. Every time they cast, it goes where they want.
little Terry tough kind of.
These anglers tie their own flies too. They take pride in it. And it's always fun to catch a fish on something that you've tied or made. And fool that
Sinker
fish.
is what we've been using.
Artificial.
Yeah.
And then the sinkers are little
arms on them.
Yeah, I tie those.
You tie these yourself? Yeah. Yeah.
There's all different kinds. I mean,
Yeah.
I tie, speck bug, for specks. We have those.
You do the fly rod thing with specks too?
Yep.
Ain't usually only them in the winter.
Yeah. That little cut right there, ain't no water in.
Well, guys, I think it's about 9:30, and they tell me the weigh-in was at 10 o'clock. I think 10 o'clock. So I had a day started out where I think, well, what am I going to do? It's too shallow. I can't go up there and fish where I want to fish. And it turned out to be a great day. I mean, I run into these fly fishermen, and they taught me something. I mean, if you look at any of my videos, I'm always, if I see somebody doing something that I've never done down here or anywhere, I'll stop and see if they'll share information. Most guys will share it with you. They really will, and tell you how they're doing it, and show you what they're doing. Now, some of them won't. I mean, you get into bass guys, them bass tournaments, they ain't gonna tell you nothing, or even some of the crappie fishermen. They're pretty closed mouth. That's why, guys, you want to shop at Garrett's Tackle Shop here in Lake Okeechobee, because again, them guys are all fishermen and outdoorsmen. I don't care if you're fishing or turkey hunting or deer hunting or what. Them guys in there are all outdoorsmen, and they aren't closed-lipped. They'll tell you. They want you to have a good time when you come to South Florida hunting and fishing. Well, you can see me taking out here at Indian Prairie, boys. I'm telling you, I had second thoughts about it when I backed in there this morning. When it was dark, I couldn't see, but it's low water. You get down there too far. I've only got two-wheel drive now. I don't have four-wheel drive anymore. You get down there too far and you get in that gravel. They dump some gravel right there at the end of the ramp. And you don't want to get too far down there because you're going to get hung up. Something else, you want to make sure you lock your vehicle, which it don't make much difference because there's a lot. This is kind of an isolated area, this ramp right here. And they've had a lot of trouble with people stealing stuff. I mean, you come down here and steal stuff out of your vehicles. Most of the time, I've seen people go 100 miles an hour when they're backing in the water or taking out. If you take your time and get out there real slow and dump it in, you'll be fine. Just don't get in a big hurry, especially on a ramp like this. Just back it a little ways, go down there and look and see if it's going to be all right. And just take your time. Again, guys, I really like this boat. I mean, it's ideal for down here in shallow water, and for a 19-foot aluminum boat, Ranger's making this. Boy, this thing rides good. I mean, it really rides good for a 19-foot boat. But again, it's not flat bottom boat. It's kind of designed like the Ranger fiberglass boats. I mean, the aluminum was bent for same way under this to take rough water. If you're thinking about getting one, and they've got if you can see, you've seen me in it on the live wells and the way they got it set up, the storage rod on both sides. You got rod holders you can put underneath the deck. Most like your Express and other boats like that, G3, they just don't have the storage. That's the reason I kind of leaned towards this Ranger. I mean, I looked at them. I looked at all of them when I was getting ready to buy one, and for your money, this was the best one. My opinion. 115. It's 19 foot and 115's plenty. I don't want no more big motors because this uses enough gas. Because I'm not exaggerating. If I don't have some kind of an appointment or I'm doing something, I'm on the water every day, almost every day. And that's a lot of gasoline, and it don't use much gasoline. As long as you stay out of the throttle, you might say, but just get it up on plane. It does good. You can see me eyeball and think, let's see if this thing's gonna come out here or not. If it didn't, I know a guy to call. I know a guy, you know what I'm saying? Come pull me out, man, I'm sinking. Speaking of that, I got a bilge pump that's going bad. I mean, not an automatic. My bilge pump works, but my automatic can quit working. I don't know. I don't know. Turned into a Democrat. It don't want to work no more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to have to get that fixed. Yeah, if you got a real big boat, I wouldn't put it in down there in Prairie. He come over and help me jack it up on there a little ways, Old man ain't got the strength anymore like he used to. Here I'm at the weigh-in, guys, and I got to see exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it. And you can see every fish they get, they keep track of it, and he writes it down there and turns it into the FWC, which that's good. That kind of keeps an eye on what's going on the fishery, how many they're catching, and you don't have to break the bank to get into something like this either. You can get I would recommend at least a 16-foot John boat or any boat, or you got to just almost go with a 16-foot boat because in case the wind does pick up, and you don't have to have you can use a 9.9 motor, you know what I mean. But you don't have to have a great big horsepower motor to do it. Here they're counting their fish. Like I said before, they gotta have 20. They can weigh in 20 fish, and as long as they're not like a gar or a mudfish, and they're separating them there, and they keep track of them. See, they're separating their cichlids and Oscars and bluegill and bass, so they know what they got. I had one gentleman there. He was, I think, 79 years old. This gentleman coming up right here, and see, anybody can do it. He's I think he's 79 years old. Shoot, I'm 72. I'm still going, but look at the sack of fish he's got. He's got a nice sack of fish. Fly rod. That old boy throwing that fly rod. Young people out there, I'm telling you what, if you're looking for a hobby to take to old age, give fishing a try. I'm telling you right now, give fishing a try. It's just a very rewarding, and you don't have to go out there and catch 100 of them. Just go out there and enjoy yourself. I really enjoyed watching these guys this morning and watching them weigh their fish in, and just good group of guys. You could probably join and they're out of Cocoa Beach. Get online and find out, Florida Fly Fishing Club, and they said they've lost a couple guys over the years because it's usually older guys, retired guys, but some of them's working and the weekends off. But you can, if you're interested in it and you're in that area and you want to join, I'm sure they'll let you join. There's a nice sack of fish. There's a good bass right there, nice bass. Well, guys, that's another video. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please push like and subscribe to my channel because it does help me, and I enjoy making them.
We do not even want to think about death. Yet the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 3:2, there is a time to be born and a time to die. The Bible teaches that Adam lived 930 years, but he died. Seth lived 912 years, but he died. Enos lived 905 years, but he died. Methuselah lived 969 years, but he died. John D. Rockefeller lived 96 years, but he died. We are told that the 2.5 billion people now living on the earth will all be dead within 100 years from now. The Bible says it is appointed unto man once to die.